Hi, this is Melba Moore, and you're watching Rude Rangers TV.
You're listening to Rudy Radio, powered by Rude Rangers Entertainment. I'm Terra Renee from African American Women in Cinema Organization, and this is Talk with Terra, a show that highlights fantastic filmmakers, artists, and entrepreneurs and entertainers from all walks of life. We're committed to introducing you to individuals and organizations and projects of which you're not necessarily aware. And we do this with the intention of uplifting, empowering, and enlightening you. If you can, please share this episode on all your social media platforms. We'll love it if you text your friends and ask them to tune in. Well, today you are in for a fabulous treat. I have a wonderful young woman who is so inspirational and who is truly moving mountains. And anything she does and touch, it just goes to the whole next dimension, not level, dimension. So audience, please help me welcome the fabulous Miss Tam Lawrence, who is the CEO of Exposure TV. Tam, how are you?
I'm wonderful. Hi, Terra. Thanks for having me.
Well, it is so awesome to have you today. And I tell you, you are truly one of the most inspirational, influential women that I have ever met. All the great things that you are doing to really not only to uplift women and your community, but really on not only on a region level, but certainly on a global level. And we're super, super excited about that. So how did you get into media?
Oh my gosh. So, starting out as a publicist, and I always tell people like my first client was God, right? And that kind of sounds crazy, but he was. My mom used to make the bulletins and the church brochures. And so every Saturday, me and my mother would head to Fendi Library. And she would get some glue, some paste. And back then, if you couldn't afford the roll glue, you made flour and water. Y'all remember that?
Yes,
So
I do.
And we would, because my mother didn't drive, she was scared of cars. And so we would tug her word processor and all of her equipment down to the library. And we would sit all day, me and my mom, pasting and copying. And then, you would put the whiteout around the picture because we would cut out pictures out of magazines to make the church brochure. Wasn't no Photoshop and all that other stuff. You really had to have a creative mind. And we would put it on the copy machine into the lines, the black and white lines would be removed. And so on Sunday when we showed up, everybody at church was so excited about the church brochure. Hunty, we did our thing. And I just enjoyed going with her because it was that time that me and her got a chance to just spend together. But I fell in love with it. Then, when I was a kid, I was watching this movie called Jerry Maguire. Hunty, I said, I want to be Jerry Maguire. Show me the money. I wanted the clothes like him. I watch him so much that I could literally do his clothes. I could do exactly what Jerry did. So I went to school for communication because it was like, okay, I have to become a PR person. I want to do this. And so I'm out in Atlanta working. And I finally picked up some NFL clients. So Eddie Drummond and Ed Hartwell were my clients. Ed had introduced me to one of the NFL players who had a concussion. And it caused I think it's CTA or CTE. started to develop. And so he had forgot where he lived at.
Wow.
This young man had forgot where he lived at and was out wandering the streets, and his family couldn't find him. So some people found him, ended up getting on crack cocaine and living under a bridge. You're talking about somebody who had millions of dollars, who literally was lost for a whole entire year.
What?
Yep, he was lost for a year, living under a bridge, and he played for the Browns. And so when I got the story, I thought, "Oh, this story needs to be told." But NFL, or American football, is one of the most protected industries that has ever existed. So nobody wanted to run the story. Nobody wanted to run the story about how American football is leaving these men later down the line, because the brain it's not caged. It moves, it rattles. And so when they're under these helmets, I wanted to tell that story. I wanted to tell people that you were literally putting your child up for ransom for their lives. You'll never get him back. He'll never be the same. When somebody's brain is rattled and hit and impacted so many times as it is in the NFL, or even in Columbine camps, and even in high school, we've seen kids die on the football field in high school. And I said, my daughter played basketball. She's a point guard, and it's not an impact sport. And so we were into reading about sports. And I thought, listen, this has got to go to the top people like CNN, Cosmopolitan, Vogue, somebody listen to me so that we can tell parents what happens to your children. And nobody would take the story. That's when I said, you know what? I got it. I'm going to build my own seat at the table. And I started a magazine in 2013 called Exposure Magazine.
Wow. What an amazing story. Now you done piqued my interest, and I'm sure the audience interest too. What happened after you found the young man after a year later?
Oh, he's done books. Ed Hartwell was working with him at the time to help him get the movie told. So I believe they're actually doing a movie on his life. But it's really sad because the NFL takes out insurance on these men for the lifetime. So their insurance the insurance that he needed to cover his mental or his medical, it was canceled. So, but yet they still, if they die, did you know that they carry an insurance policy on each football player? And even in the event of their death, even though that they don't have medical, because the medical insurance that he would need covered that kind of treatment for Alzheimer's or early dementia signs. But there's a lot more to it to this. There were so many men that I had met that was in the NFLPA that had sticky notes all over their house because they couldn't remember things. And so this is at which point in time, I believe that he had to, first and foremost, I know he went into treatment because Ed got him into treatment. But Ed is also, he was the one who helped him, get his story to producers to be able to tell his story through movies.
Wow. Fascinating. Well, I do hope that you are a part of that film project because of you, we were able to get that level of exposure, knowing about this young man. That is amazing. Being able to tell these stories, and this is why it is so important, and we encourage young journalists and storytellers to write about what they see, what they're passionate about. And I am so grateful now for the technology, because now we're getting access to these stories whereas before technology, the gatekeepers, they filtered everything. So you really did not know, you didn't know what was going on. And so I am grateful for that. Tim, you described your journey. Really appreciate that in the media realm. But could you share some of your aha moments? What transpired? What event or situation or circumstance transpired that gave you that confirmation that you were on the right path?
So my parents were Pan-Africanists. So to be so candid, it was kind of crazy growing up with Pan-Africanists. My father was in a Nation of Islam, and my mother was with a Pentecostal Apostolic Church. So
wow.
we went fast. You had to fast and do Ramadan. I was hungry. Okay. So I went into comedy in college. I did stand-up comedy. And that was a part of my routine, was telling people how hungry we were. And not only was I hungry, I had to wrap up like a mummy. Because you know my mother, she gonna put a tam on you and a long skirt to go past your ankles. My daddy about to come in here and wrap me up in a sheet and then wrap my face up so nobody see it. I felt like Casper the Friendly Ghost. I was like, wait a minute. These people crazy. I'm gonna give up on them. So having that, having religion, having both sides, the Quran and the King James Version, really explored the relationship with God so much further than just religion, which is like a cult. You know, it's like an act of doing something on a repeated basis. Whereas from that gave me that promise, because God made a promise.
Well, we'll be right back after these messages. I want to definitely hear more of this. You're listening to Talk with Terra, presented by African American Women in Cinema, right here on Rudy Radio.
Okay.
Confetti, international Formula One driver. I sped to get to Long Island Telecom before they closed. I need to get one of these fantastic deals that Long Island Telecom has, because you can't beat the price anywhere else. Oh, get away from that car. What are you doing? Freaking kids playing with the car out there. Anyway, I'm glad I got here. Wait, what do you mean you're closing? I got to come back tomorrow? What's your number? 631-833-9679? Oh, stop writing me a ticket.
We're having a conversation with African American filmmakers. Join the African American Women in Cinema Filmmaker Series at the Clubhouse, presented by I Am the Color of Beautiful Global, every Monday night, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. AAWIC on Clubhouse. Join us on the Clubhouse app for this inspiring conversation. Hosted by Karen Moore, founder of I Am the Color of Beautiful Global. Join us this Monday at 6 p.m. on the Clubhouse app for African American Women in Cinema's Filmmaker Series.
This is Jewel Taker from the Jewel Taker Show on Impact Network. Also, you can watch me and my family on The Tankers on Prime Amazon, or watch me and my sister's Chatter Talk show on Fox. So me and my girls, Dr. Dee Freeman, Monique Eilert Mosley, Real Talk Kim, and Holly Carter, and you're watching Rudy Radio.
Welcome back to Talk with Terra. I am Terra Renee from African American Women in Cinema, and today we have the fabulous Tam Lawrence, CEO of Exposure Television. And before we went on break, she was giving us such a unique story of how she came to her aha moment. Tam, please continue.
So, like I said, I believe that we all have a promise, right? So God's promise is on our lives, no matter what. We have our feet or our footsteps have been destined or ordained. And if you lean to His understanding, not yours, you'll figure it out, right? When you know who you are, why you are, and who you will become is the apple of his eye. I hope that that makes sense. So, needless to say, my experience happened as I started getting involved in the Hollywood lifestyle in Atlanta, right? Like, I had changed. I had become somebody that I didn't think I would ever become. It was, you couldn't talk to me. You couldn't come around me. Do you got some money? Who are you? You wear red bottoms. You know, it became a materialistic game, but then it felt like I had been removed from God's arms, from his love. And I didn't really agree with what I was doing because I'm working on Atlanta Housewives. I'm working with people who are a part of the problem, not the solution, because the negative content that we put out can destroy generations, right? And I knew this. And so at that point in time, I just felt like I got to change. I got to change. And it was something that happened on set one night. We were standing there and somebody did something. And I just was like, you know what? This ain't what I want. I got to go back because I had promised God that if you keep me in my right mind and you help me raise my children, I will serve you all the days of my life. And so not only does God make you a promise, but somewhere along the line in our lives, when we got caught up in a situation, when we were going through a trial or a tribulation, we said to God, if you get me out of this situation, now God ain't forgot what you said. Now you may have forgot what you said, but God ain't forgot that. And so at the end of the day, I just said, you know what? I'm done. And I walked off set. I fired all my clients. I went to my house. I began to pray. I laid across the floor. I said, God, where will you take me? I'm after your heart. I want to love on you. I want to reintroduce ourselves together. I need to find you. So I took a one-way ticket to Hawaii. Sure did. I didn't have a job. I didn't have a plan. I didn't have anything together. I just knew that if I got to Hawaii, a place that always made me feel safe, and that it's a space of healing for me. It was. I would go every year for my birthday. And so this one, though, was a one-way ticket. So not understanding what that looked like or how am I going to get back. But when you walk with God and when you understand who you are, again, it's an incredible experience. So I had an affair with Faith and I fell in love with her. And from there, God opened up so many doors. That thing right there changed my life because it showed me that no matter how far you go, no matter where you run into, I don't care if it's into a drug house or to the liquor store or you get into whatever you're going to get into, God will never leave you nor forsake you. And a lot of times we make these quotes and we speak the Bible, but to live that thing, to hold him to his word, and then you stand on it, then that's when you experience it. But a lot of times we read and we quote in scripture, but are you standing on it? I want you to, and that to me was the one thing that just kind of changed my life. Like I want to stand on that. So I'm going to create content in media platforms that can negate the negative. See, for me, he was showing me that if you got all of this negative content, how do we counter that? How do you change the trajectory when you got a whole lot of negative stuff? You just got to add in some positive. You got to reinforce the positive. And from that, if people could be inspired, they can aspire to become what they want to become in this lifetime. And I think that that's the journey that I'm on right now. It's just to continue to keep inspiring. And through seeing my story, because there was more tragedies along the way, but I feel like all of my pain has been a manifestation of my purpose. Came here.
That is so powerful. I'm sorry. No, go ahead and continue.
No.
Okay.
I just said I came here to do something. That's all.
You know, Tam, you have said a whole lot. And I am truly touched on many levels because a lot of our listening audience, they're very young. and we appreciate them. They're millennials. And one of the things that we try to do on this show is to bring people like yourself who have gone on I call it a God-called journey. Mm-hmm. And on the God-called journey is where you learn the lessons. But these lessons are so valuable because it puts you in a position to then give back to mm-hmm. the others who are coming behind you, so mm-hmm. they can have a clearer picture to move forward in their calling from God, you mm-hmm. know. And so, you know, I love the fact that in this, you expose what it truly is, because in media, you know, I was sharing with another guest and we were all laughing about it. You know, I shared with them how I read an article from some actress who said, oh, I just submitted my headshot to Warner Brothers, and the next day I got a call for the lead role. No talk about, you know, training, nothing. She got the lead role in a multi-million-dollar film. You know, and there was no process, there was no anything. Mm-hmm. And how deceptive is that? And so when you get folks who are, you know, it's inspiring to be, or an inspiring actress or actor who's looking to secure roles, period, irregardless of if it's with Warner, whoever. Mm-hmm. And then when they come across an issue, they internalize it and thinking there's something wrong with them. No, this is what it is. It's a process. Mm-hmm. And it takes years, you know, before you get the quote unquote major break. But I am pleased to hear that, you know, even when you went through yours and accomplished so much, that you saw what, you know, was coming out of it, and you didn't like it. Mm-hmm. And that's another very important piece that I don't really hear addressed at all. Mm-hmm. You know, I saw a little bit about it on the hit TV series, Genius, Aretha Franklin story. And there was this moment where she's telling her father, or she's telling someone that she have lost her way. And that was very interesting. I thought that was a touching moment. Mm. But to actually hear you explain in this mm-hmm. detail, and then what you did, and mm-hmm. now it puts you on a higher, in my mind, a higher level, you mm-hmm. know, and I really appreciate that. And that is what we seek to do, not only inspire, but give the insight so you can aspire mm-hmm. to fulfill your plan and your purposes. Can you start, and thank you so much for sharing that, deeply appreciate that. Can you tell us, what are some of the moments that you felt that, well, I'll position it this way. Have you received any testimonials from folks who have followed you or experienced your work and just said, you know, Miss Lawrence, this was life-changing, or Miss Lawrence, thank you so much for doing this. We mm-hmm. really appreciate this so much. Have you experienced any of those?
Oh my gosh. This past Saturday, we had a taping. And at first I didn't know how it was going to go, but it was me calling everybody that I had worked with over the years mm-hmm. To talk about, like do a kind of like a backstory. You know how they do on American Idol, they did a backstory on you. Mm-hmm. And just hearing these people say that I inspired them meant the world to me, because
wow.
I was just trying to survive. It really was. I remember sitting down maybe three years ago, mm-hmm. and I had chose to get into a situation where I was in the greatest depression that law could ever have. I promise you, because I had moved back to the mainland to take care of my mom. Mm-hmm. And I really couldn't figure out what would happen to me coming back, you know. In that space and time, I just know that what really helped me make it through was that I never gave up on me. Like, I never gave up on me. And I always promised the little girl in me that, listen, I'm going to take care of you. You just got to give me a minute to get it together. And I promise you, we grow up, but that doesn't mean that we're grown. That little girl in you, that little boy in you still gets scared, you know? But that little girl and that little boy still has room to grow in your life if you accept it and you recognize that. So I have to also recognize that there's a super ego, and there's that, that balance, that ego. I need to balance all of these things out, but I have to make sure that I protect her at all costs.
I hear you. Well, we'll be right back after these messages. You listen to Talk with Terra, presented by African American Woman in Cinema, right here on Rudy Radio.
Hi, I'm Dan O'Shea, Executive Director for Maureen's Haven Homeless Outreach. It is our mission to support the homeless in our community. We provide an emergency winter shelter program, a day center, and support services to help the homeless in our community. With your help, we can continue to provide services so critically needed to the homeless in our community. Please visit www.maureen'shaven.org or call us at 631-727-683.
Hi, this is Melba Moore, and you're listening to Rudy Radio.
Welcome back to Talk with Terra. I am Terra Renee from African American Woman in Cinema, and we have the fabulous Miss Tam Lawrence, CEO of Exposure TV, and she is laying it out. She's telling us how it really is, no sugarcoating. And I appreciate it. I know you audience appreciate that as well. And so before we went to break, Miss Tam was just, again, giving us some more golden nuggets and talking about how folks felt she inspired them. Miss Tam, please continue.
Oh my gosh. I think Cedric, probably one of my clients, he says it always best. Like, in his head, he always says, what would Tam do? He was in LA, and he was trying to get into the BET Awards, to do the BET Awards for the magazine. And he forgot his media credentials at the hotel. And so he said the Uber pulled off. He didn't know what to do. Then he just stood there and was like, what would Tam do? Well, honey, I would scale the wall. That's what I would do. Because no, you're not going to let it. But he said he did a real quick Tam move. And he was in there. And so now the whole team has this, what would Tam do hashtag. Everybody makes fun of me. And I just think that it's not about what I would do, but my grandmama and my aunt always was about common sense. They used to say, if you use common sense, that would never happen. And I remember, you see how I fixed my face when she said she used common sense. And when my grandmama meant that meant that you didn't think about it all the way. You think about it all the way through to the end. And so that's how I actually do my clients and even some of my friends. Like, if you would have thought about how you would affect somebody else's life. Maya Angelou said that people will forgive you for a lot of things. You could say something to them, they'll forgive you for that. You could do something to them, you can forgive them that. But people will never forgive you for how you made them feel. You better believe that. And so keep that in mind. Maintain the relationship. You do nothing else. Always maintain the relationship. And that's so important. And how do you do that in business? How do you become successful in business is give more than you ask for. I'm going to do that one more time for those of you who are in the back of the room. Give more than you ask for. Sometimes we have to give people time. Build a relationship, build a rapport before you start asking for something. Sometimes you got to investigate and read their profile, know who you're talking to before you start talking to them. Because people really feel, they feel important and they feel better when they know that somebody took the time out to really learn my resume or read my profile before we even start talking. Because that right there shows a lot about you. And that you feel comfortable or you feel like communicating effectively, right? And so the second part of that is when we talk about giving more than we ask for, I always try to stress that because sometimes we ask, and that when I was little, gimme, got. Every time, gimme, got. Remember that? That was for real. And so in business, that's how we look at it, because you just be like, okay. And when you do that, let me just say, that's in the carnal world. And can I take you over here to Kairos time and you can visit with me for just a minute? If you understand how God works, when you give more and you bless other people, He will open up doors that no man could ever give you. No man could ever replace. Everything that you lost, you'll get it back. He'll give you back with the cankerworm. If you understand the ingredients for abundance is to give more than you ask for. And I promise you, God will take care of your business when you take care of His. And so God uses us to help people, to seed into other people's lives, to open up doors for other people. And when you start living like that, it just reciprocates. You put that out there in the universe and that energy, and you just keep on pushing and keep on pushing and keep on tugging. And it don't always look like that. And I can't tell you that coming from a place of, I'm where I'm at right now. But I can tell you that from a single parent mother who was only a child, who raised them kids on welfare, who got us off of welfare, who walked into her own business at the age of 19 years old. And I've never worked a job in corporate America in my lifetime. That God has tremendously blessed me to continue this journey, not for myself. When you learn that you will die of self, to be really truly, not just to you, but also to the universe and to God, first and foremost to the kingdom. You have to die of self. And when you die of self, you'll start to live your truest life. And that's because you understand this is not about you. It never was. You were a vessel to be used and a steward. So you do your work. You serve as a servant. And you continue on your journey. Give more than you ask for. You can never ask God for enough because your cup will run over. How about that? Mm-hmm.
Very, very powerful and well said. And as a recipient of that whole principle that you just described, I want to say amen, amen, amen.com. Because, your motive is everything. Mm-hmm. And that's what I find is the key turner to those doors being open, coupled with the principles that you just so elegantly laid out. Mm-hmm. And if you give with the proper motive to sincerely want to help the person, and I agree with you, give more. You talk about doors, phone calls, emails, texts with opportunities that you will not be able to handle. It mm-hmm. will happen. It will happen. And I really, really appreciate you sharing that aspect. Wow. I can almost, we can almost end the show on that alone, but we definitely need to hear more from you and your wisdom, because I tell you, this is what's needed in this day and time when we have so much that's going on in the world, and so many young people, Tam, looking for direction. And what you're bringing out on a consistent basis, and which I really want to highlight, is your spirituality, you know, and I really believe in that. That's your center. If that's in place, you'll have the direction and know which way you should go to fulfill the plans and purposes of your God-given life. And I agree, this is much greater than yourself. Yes, I agree. You are a vessel. And if you can live in that way, I tell you, the level of fulfillment and peace that you will receive, just the tip of the iceberg, is priceless. No one can pay for that. And so I really appreciate you sharing that. You just blew me out of the water. All the rest of my questions, everything just got blown out the water behind that.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
No. Can you share with us what are you working on now?
Well, one, I'm gonna give me a pole and slide down it and give me a new strip club. No, just kidding. Right now, though, I you gotta keep laughter in your life. That is number one. But so right now with Exposure Magazine, we have changed the direction of the publication. I've been trying to do this for years, but really, I've been blessed with a great team of people who are helping me right now do it. And I want to document the stories of today's Coretta Scott Kings and Mandelas and Winnies and all of these amazing people. Your story. I think that it's so important that, you know, after the 100-year anniversary in Tulsa, it just confirmed to me that it took 100 years for them to find out what happened in Tulsa. 100 years, 1921, the largest massacre in the history of America. And we thought it was a school shooting was the largest massacre. That was not true. You know, and so now we're even uncovering more cities that were populated with African Americans. One city was put underwater and they went and killed 1,000 people. Could you imagine that?
Wow.
1,000 people. And then took the whole city and put it underwater, and now it's a little man-made lake. And this has been going on for so long. Even I was just with Harriet Washington. I don't know if you know who Harriet is. She did the apartheid for the medical mishaps to Africa.
Oh yes.
And we were listening with her last night, and she was explaining to us all of the medical experimental things that they did to African Americans. They're killing us and doing hysterectomies on us while we were alive, going and digging up cadavers out of the graveyards in the Black communities and using them for, you know, Emory. I think it was Emory. I think she said Emory Hospital or whatever, for these doctors to do their clinicals on Black bodies. Our bodies have been used and abused for so long that it's just, some of the stuff that you listen to, it's just barbaric. Like literally, and I felt like let's just do some shocking moments. Y'all want to have some shocking moments, because that's exactly where I'm headed. It's ready to shock the world. I want you to read an article and say what? When you finish reading the article, if you don't say what, send me the magazine back and I'll send you some money. Because when you read this, that 64,000 African American women in America are missing right now. This is something that they have done more hysterectomies in the Black community than anywhere. And that surgery that they did could have been an invasive surgery and they were still able to have babies. But for some odd reason, they castrating communities and telling us that, oh, you got these fibroids. We can't do anything else. We got to do a hysterectomy. You could have done an invasive surgery and they could have went ahead and got rid of those fibroids. Needless to say, there's all of this information that's out here. And I just think that we're not getting the memo. So I plan to give, it's really my era called the memo. You will get the memo this time. You ever go to a meeting and they say, well, Tara, did you hear what they said on Thursday? And you're like, well, I wasn't here on Thursday. So you can't talk on that matter, can you? So they're like, well, Tara, you didn't get the memo? Well, no, I didn't get the email. What happened? And that's exactly what's going on in our communities at large, is that
It is.
you didn't get the memo, but you
It
would.
is. Well, we have to take another commercial break, but please don't forget to share this episode on social media. You're listening to Talk with Terra, powered by African American Women in Cinema, right here on Rudy Radio.
Hi, I'm Dan O'Shea, Executive Director for Maureen's Haven Homeless Outreach. It is our mission to support the homeless in our community. We provide an emergency winter shelter program, a day center, and support services to help the homeless in our community. With your help, we can continue to provide services so critically needed to the homeless in our community. Please visit www.maureen'shaven.org or call us at 631-727-683.
Welcome back to Talk with Terra. I am Terra Renee from African American Women in Cinema. And today we have the incredible Tam Lawrence, CEO of Exposure TV, and she is telling us what she have coming down the pipe. So far, it's just blowing everything out the water. But go ahead, Miss Tam, continue. I look forward to the memo.
That's exactly what it is. This is the era of the memo. The memo we didn't get, and that's going to be major. That's going to be major. I'm going to keep doing it. I don't care what people say. I think that it's important for us to do it. I just was with Gary Ribble. I'm not sure if you guys know who he is, but Gary Ribble was a detective that worked on the Martin Luther King assassination. And so he actually worked with James and Henry, both of these, the two people, the one who killed Kennedy and the one who they say assassinated Martin Luther King. However, during his investigation piece, he's now 72 years old, and they have investigated him to make sure he is who he say he is, and he just released his book. But needless to say, he said neither one of these people who went to jail for the assassination of the President Kennedy and Martin Luther King, neither one of them was the person who killed him. He said it was clearly the government did it, and they killed his 19-year-old brother, and they threatened him and his family where they had to live on the run for so long. And I asked him, why did you tell the story now? He said, I'm 72 years old. If they're going to kill me, let them come now. But at one time, his kids are now grown, but they threatened to kill his wife, his kids. So he couldn't tell the story. But you see, some people, if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't know exactly what we now know. And when you read his book, he tells the story about why he didn't do it in the beginning and what happened. He was only 27 years old. He was right out of the Navy, and they picked him to come in and investigate because they thought this young kid wouldn't go as far as he did. And so anyways, they stopped him from investigating, and then went and digged up holes, tore up all of his stuff in his house, set his house on fire. They terrorized these people. So when I tell you that we live in a time that communication, Malcolm X said that media had the ability to make the innocent guilty and the innocent. He also said that this is the most powerful weapon we will ever have, not as Blacks, but as Americans or as constituents, as the citizens, to fight against government, to create a racism, not racism, I said eracism, to erase the ideologies and dogmatic views in this country of what they have done to humans. It is somebody greater within a system that decides whether we all get along or not. And we have to understand how to erase racism, not to continue this journey in the way in which we have, but we also have to take accountability for the things that historically we have done to a people, and African Americans in this country have been traumatized for long overdue for our story. told.
Mhm.
So I'm working on that with the magazine, and I also have Exposure Network TV. On Friday last week, we closed with HBO. We're expanding our reach. And we continue on. One of the things I love about them, thanks, Tara.
Congrats, super proud.
I feel like a little kid sitting up here giggling like a little daughter. That's so. One of the things that I loved about what they let me do is I created it as a diversity inclusion project. I felt like it's time for us to really come together and understand our space, the diaspora of African Americans, the creativity, all of that wonderful good stuff. So how do we do that, and how do we change the conversation of racism and bigotry in this country? I would say it's on us this time.
Mhm.
It's not on them, because we have the ability to do what we're doing right here.
Mhm.
We can communicate to the masses.
Mhm.
We can put out good content that will change and redirect the future to build bridges for our children, right? And that's what we're doing right now. And so the name of the channel is called HBO on Us.
Mm.
On us this time, because it is on us. You asked me about one thing that would be a testimonial. I have a show on the network that I came up with. It's called Speak Life Nation, that Cedric Nettles produces. And we go after historical Black college students to have them put together their own TMZ. It's like a TMZ internet entertainment show, right?
Mm-hmm.
The kids that worked on it last year are now working in big corporate positions. Keon Cage is now at ESPN. Kel is over at Johnson and Johnson. So these kids come through our program, and we're just building bridges. We're not trying to, I wasn't looking at millions of dollars at first when this thing started out. I just wanted to build a bridge that our children can cross over into telling our stories and having a platform that can disseminate that information out to millions around the country. Now, this is how media is so important. So if we're in 128 countries and something happens in your neck of the woods, people all over the world just heard it. So you can't get away with it no more.
That's right.
Can't get away with it no more, Hunty. So all you got to do is download it now. Let's come together, because they shouldn't be able to get away with it no more.
Mm-hmm.
No more.
Wow. Mm-hmm. That is so awesome. Mm-hmm. Can you tell the audience, how do we follow you on social media? How do we support you? And if we have stories that we would like to share, what is that process to be considered?
You go to exposure-magazine.com, click on the link and submit your story. We'd love to hear your story. It'll be amazing. If you'd like to also reach out to us, you can go to exposuretvnetwork.com. That is the corporate site. We're right now doing scholarships. The scholarship for Channel will develop your own app channel for $14,997. We're going to pay for everything. There's no cost to you, but we want to continue the journey in helping create a space where minorities can cross over into the streaming industry, which is a $700 billion industry. So don't miss this opportunity to do that. And if you'd like to reach out to me on Facebook, please visit Tam Lawrence, and I'll be right there awaiting your arrival. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
And can you please, for our listeners, I think you've done it already, but now we're just going to hone in on this. Can you please just give us some words of inspiration?
Never give up, huh? One more time. This is what I actually thrive on for 20 some years. Give more than you ask for, and never give nothing you can't afford to lose. Mm-hmm. Give more than you ask for, but give nothing that you can't afford to lose. And understand that no matter how many books you read or how many things you go through in life, God is always it should be your point of reference when doing anything next. And that's my point of reference. I always say go to Proverbs, and I go through Proverbs. That's really my Think and Grow Rich book. Somebody want to read Napoleon Hill, I'd be like, yeah, okay. And then you want to go read Robert Greene, I said, okay, I got 48 Laws of Power, but I got something better than that. I'm gonna go read my Proverbs. I'll be right back. Whatever God say, let it be so. Mm-hmm. So
well, I don't know where the time went, but they're telling me that we have to go. Tam, Miss Lawrence, we certainly appreciate you taking out the time and being with us, sharing your wonderful insight, your rare gems with us. We know that it will be cherished amongst our audience as certainly something tangible that we can take and that they can take on their journey as they pursue their God-given purpose and calling upon their life. Thank you so much, audience, for listening to Talk with Terra. I am Terra Renee from African American Women in Cinema Organization. You can visit us online at www.aawic.org. You can also follow us on Instagram and Twitter and like us on Facebook. Talk with Terra is made possible by Rude Rangers Entertainment. Our creative director is Rudy J. Breedy. Please don't forget to like and share this episode with as many people as possible. We sincerely appreciate you joining us today and wish you continued peace, blessings, and prosperity. See you next episode.